Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And today we're going back to the OG. We're gonna do what we did the other day, yesterday, because I enjoyed that. That was fun to do, but I gotta work out the kinks in that a bit. So today we're gonna go back and do the final episode of Arcane, episode 9. And this episode was extremely impactful, not only for our characters, but for the series as a whole. Because there's a lot of things that happen in this episode that cannot be taken back, no matter what. Lots of implications. And let me just say, that cliffhanger was bullshit. That cliffhanger was bullshit. I was yelling at my TV like, no, don't end like that. That's ridiculous. But they did. But we'll get into that a little later. So let's just hop in right now. Our episode starts, of course, with the repercussions of last week's. Or the last episode, I should say. Where Jace truly experienced what war was like. And it terrified him. It scared the hell out of him. He wanted out. And Violet, of course, in that situation, it's like there's no leaving. Like, you're a part of this now. Like, this is what war really is. This is what you signed up for. But Jace is just horrified. He can't handle that. Can't handle something like that. So he goes out and he leaves to go find another way. And that other way leads him to Silco, of all people. Which, let me just say, these are two characters I did not think, even for a second, would probably meet in person. But they did, and it was a very impactful conversation. Because you see, at the end of the day, as much of a scumbag and just evil dude Silco is, like, he just wants his independence, He wants to be independent from the capital, who have shown countless time and time again that they don't care what happens in the Undercity. They don't care about the people that are there. They've shown that with their actions. And all he wants is peace. So they meet together to discuss peace. And his demands are pretty. He's got a lot of demands. They're pretty extensive. His demands. He wants a lot of things. But at the same time, if you really sit down and think about it, is it really that unjustified? Is it really? Like, truly that unjustified? Like, there's people down there suffering. Because of Silco, of course. Well, let's not brush that under the bridge and throw that under the rug, but people down there are suffering, and the capital has shown they just don't care. So his demands, I don't think, are unreasonable. They just want to be independent. And Jace, of course, fights against that, but at the end of the day, like, it probably would be for the best if they just became independent. And Jace even brings that up later on in the episode. Like, they can't control them. Like, they can't be the leaders of them. They're too distant. They're too separated. They're quite literally two separate planes. Right there, the Undercity and Piltover. They are far too different. They are not the right people to lead down there, to really make a difference. Their way of making a difference is what they did in the last episode. Going in there with fucking guns blazing and just they would slaughter everyone. So Jace makes a controversial opinion that everyone on the council hates, of course, at first, to finally make them the nation of Zaun and to give them their independence. But I jumped a little ahead. Let's backtrack a little bit so we can get to that point. And let's talk about Victor. Victor. This man. I love Victor. He's one of my favorite characters in the show. He's great. He really is great. I love him. But we see the aftermath of what happened in our previous episode. That Sky's gone. She's dead. She got vaporized. by this creation of his, the gemstone. I don't, what was it called? His hex core. The hex core. There we go. I remembered. She got vaporized by the hex core, and Victor's horrified by it. He starts reading her notes, and just, it really hits him like, what have I done? What have I become in the pursuit of greater achievements? What have I overcome, or what have I become? And he attempts to destroy it, which is a big step for him because this is his life's work, and he sees now that it's evil. Like, it's only gonna cause problems. Something like this cannot help people the way he intended. It can only destroy. So he tries to destroy it, but he can't bring himself to do it. But in the same scene, we also see that the hex core seems to be becoming sentient. Like, he even said in the previous episode he wanted to make a machine, something like that, that is sentient, has a mind of its own. And we see that it's finally doing that because it sends a shock through Victor, kind of like a warning in a way, like, hey, don't ever try to do that again. That's how I interpreted it, at least. Like, hey, the hex core itself was saying, don't you ever raise a hand to me again. And it's honestly unnerving, man. Like, the ramifications of something like that are definitely going to be felt throughout, not even just the city itself, but probably throughout the entire world. Like, that's how bad something like this is, potentially, for the world. I think Victor finally understands what Heimendinger was saying earlier in the episodes. Like, something like this is just, it will bring destruction, and it needs to be destroyed. So we actually go forward to a scene where Victor is spreading Sky's ashes. Very sad scene, by the way. And he almost kills himself. He's in his favorite spot by the waterfall and all that. He dumps her ashes. And he just has a moment of thinking, I should just end it all. Like, end everything. And we get a nice little callback to earlier on in the series where he stops Jace from doing it, because who should come and stop him from killing himself? Jace. Where they discuss, where Victor tells him flat out, like, these weapons you've made need to be destroyed. And Jace, he finally understands that, yes, I should not have made these to begin with. They will only cause pain and destruction. And Victor pleads with him to destroy the hex core, because he himself can't do it, because he's kind of become ingrained with it, you know? He's kind of combined with it in a way. Like, his arm and leg are basically a part of the hex core now. So even though he has the will to destroy it, like, I don't think he physically can do it. He pleads with Jace to destroy it, who is obviously against it, of course, because that's one of the only things that could save Victor's life. But Victor pleads with him. So he agrees to do it. And I'm sure that will get done at a later point, but for now, that's up in the air. And I gotta say, I think it would be a good thing if it got destroyed, because the destruction that thing could cause is insane. But alright. See, I don't have a script on this one, guys. I'm just going off the dome. Because I kind of like doing that more, you know? I literally just finished watching the episode, so I wanted to come in here and discuss it with you guys. So now we're going to jump to the outcome of Savanka, whatever her name is. I'm pretty sure it's Savanka. Because we see in the previous episode, she got approached by Finn to try to overcome Silco. And we were led to believe that that was the case, that she was going to do that. I think the show did a very good job of this. Because you see, they approach him in his office, saying, your time is up, Silco. Like, it's time to take you out once and for all. You become weak, old man. And then Silco has a great monologue here, saying, I remember what it was like before parasites like you were in my city. How we had nothing. How we had to fight for every single thing we had. But we did have one thing. We had loyalty. And the second he said loyalty, I just had a feeling that she was not going to betray him. As much as the episode wants us to think that, with her standing behind him with the sword and all that, like the second he said the word loyalty, you could even see it on her face. She thought about it. You can see that. But no, she did not betray him. She actually kills Finn right then and there to set an example. And Silco even asked her afterwards, like, were you tempted? And she says no, but you could see it on her face in that scene. She certainly was. So that's how that played out. She did not end up betraying him. Not that it really matters later on, but... Actually, now that I'm sitting here, I actually remembered to add one thing earlier when Silco met with Jace. We find out that Jace is willing to give them their independence, to meet his demands, but he has to give up Jinx. Someone has to pay for it. As much as Jace would love to put Silco behind bars, like, that would just create another uprising in the other city and someone would just take his place. So, he wants Jinx. She has to be the person to go down for this. And Silco, he completely refuses that idea. But we see later that he's mulling it over to himself at Vander's memorial. And we can tell in that scene that he really did care about his brother, you know? As much as they went through, you can tell he did actually care about him. And I don't know, man. Just in that scene, he's contemplating to himself, like, this has been my dream. Like, to do this. I've imagined this thousands of times in my head, this very moment. But what they want me to do is just something I can't do. But Jinx overhears this and thinks that he's going to give her up and betray her. So she captures him. We'll see a little bit more of that later on. But she captures him. So now she has Caitlyn from the previous episode captured. And she has Silco now. But we'll get to that a little later. But yeah, she has them both captured for now. And at this point, we see Mel and her mother. And Mel has just had enough. She's had enough of it all. She just completely confronts her mother, slaps the wine out of her hand and say, you need to get the hell out of my city. Stop talking to Jace and putting ideas of war in his head all the time. Don't corrupt him. Don't try to make him like our city, full of, like our home and all that, full of war and suffering. Don't try to come here and change the city that I helped create. Which she's completely in her right to do, you know? Like, I have definitely had a turnaround with Mel. I really thought she was up to something bad, man. She just seemed shady, you know, in the first couple episodes. She just seemed like she was up to something and up to no good. But as the episodes have went on, I've come to actually like her character a lot. I have. She's had a turnaround with me. Because we've come to realize that she just wants peace. She truly wants peace and prosperity for the city. She literally just wants what's best. And her mother just... Man, her mother's something. She plays the sentimentality card on her. She's telling her daughter that we need these weapons. Like, the person who killed your brother is coming to ransack our home, and we're not going to be able to stop them. Like, we need these weapons, Mel. And she's trying to pull the rug out from under her. But unfortunately, we can see it's working a little bit. She's getting to her a bit. She even tells her, like, we need these weapons. And when that happens, we can take them out, and you can come home and stand by my side where you belong. And I gotta say, that did not sit well with me. Her mom is, like, kind of an ass. Let's keep it a buck, guys. Her mom's a fucking asshole for doing something like that. Like, the nerve of her for banishing her out of her home, coming to her new home, and then giving her this guilt crap. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, I do not like her mom, but I've definitely come to like Mel. Mel has grown on me tremendously. And we see towards the end that towards the end of the episode when I was saying that all that Victor was there with Jace, and he fully supports the idea of giving the underground their independence. And Mel was the only senator, or not senator, this ain't Star Wars, was the only counselor that was on his side at first. And it's because of her that the other ones were able to turn around a bit. But we'll get into that in a bit. I know I keep jumping back and forth, but it'll all make sense when we're done. So now, let me do a little scene here. This one I don't think is as important, but it is something that happened, so I want to mention it. We see that Heimendinger did, in fact, take Echo back to his home. And he's in amazement. He's just in utter amazement of that tree. And to be fair, that tree's gorgeous, guys. Like, just imagine living somewhere like that, with a gorgeous backdrop like that. Even in the Undercity, something beautiful like that can grow. And I think Heimendinger being there and experiencing this stuff with Echo and the firelights and all that, I think that's such a good thing for the series as a whole, honestly. Because as knowledgeable and wise as Heimendinger is, like, he's naive at the same time, which is crazy. Like, he doesn't truly understand what it's like. So for him to be down there with them experiencing all this, I think is a great thing. I think Heimendinger will definitely come back. He'll make a hell of a comeback, and he'll be a much better man for it. Because it's humbling, guys. Like, when you think you have it rough or something, then you go find someone who has it way rougher, and then you start to finally understand their position. It's humbling, to say the least. Like, so I think that's only a good thing. And who knows, they might come back even stronger, because Heimendinger is a genius after all. The things he could do to their boards and all that is insane. So I'm very much looking forward to that. But alright, now we're starting to get into the meat and potatoes of the episode. Like, we talked about some important stuff, but now we're going to get into some even more important stuff. But before that, we do have to talk about this scene, because Violet has definitely had enough. After her talk with Jace, she goes back to the Undercity, and she just flat out walks into the last drop, like, hey, I'm going to confront Silco once and for all. Like, I'm going to personally confront him. And the second she walks in the room becomes quiet. Everyone knows what's about to happen. And Savinka, who's in there, just flat out says, everyone get out. We know what's going to happen. And we get our run back. Our round 2. And, bro, this blew round 1 out the water. Like, it's a vicious fight. They are just beating the hell out of each other. It's a savage fight, guys. The animation's crazy, especially at the end. But the fight takes a turn. Vi is losing. Vi basically loses the fight. Let's be real. Let's keep it a buck. She loses at first. Gets knocked on her face, and she's about to pass out. But we get a beautiful scene, of course, with Vander. His spirit. Not really like a ghost. He ain't no, like, force ghost or nothing. I would think that'd be kind of stupid, but no. We hear him, and he's speaking to her, and he's flat out says, like, they need you, Vi. You're tougher than this. You can do this. And his words inspire her to get back up. And we have an incredibly cool scene where all the lights in the whole last drop go out. And we just see the purple of Savinka's blade and the blue of Vi's gauntlets just in the darkness. And visually, it's amazing. And that second win she got from Vander was enough to put Savinka on her ass, dude. She threw her through walls and all that. She knocked the fucking daylights out of her. And it was great. But it wasn't enough, unfortunately. Because we see that Jinx was there watching the whole thing. And she sneaks up on Vi and knocks her out. And we get to the crux of our episode right here. Where this really did feel like kind of like a Batman and Harley Quinn kind of thing. I don't know much about comics, but I do know there is a comic where like the Joker ties up like Batman and the whole Bat family. Like, I'm gonna get slaughtered in the comments. They're like, you don't know that issue, blah blah blah, all that stuff. But I do know there's a scene where he ties everyone up and he puts them all at a table and all that, and he's just sitting at the end just monologuing to them. And that's what this reminded me of, because we see that she not only has Vi there tied up, she has Caitlyn and she has Silco there. And it's an incredibly tense situation, very intense scene, where she starts monologuing actually, and she flat out is talking to Vi like, we're still sisters, right? Like, you wouldn't abandon me again, right? And she's teetering on the edge of sanity. She flat out says to Vi, like, get rid of Caitlyn, and I can be your powder again. Because we see, like, her mental has just gotten even worse. Like I just said, she's teetering on the edge of insanity, and, like, one little push is all it would take. She's fighting with herself. Like, do I become the old me, or do I become the new me? And she's going a little crazy in the process. She breaks wine glasses and everything there. But Caitlyn actually uses that instance to take the glass, break her ropes and all that. She gets Jinx's Gatling gun. And then we get somewhat of a standoff right there, where both sides are pleading for nothing to happen. And it looks for a second like nothing might. But then we get to see a little bit of Jinx's new abilities because of that shimmer, which apparently she's a force to be reckoned with. She already was, but like she's like 4 to 5 times more dangerous now. She gets the upper hand on Caitlyn, knocks her out, and was gonna kill her right then and there, but Vi stops her. And I did forget to mention this. Caitlyn made her put her gun down, actually. She puts it right down in front of Silco. Which the second I saw that, I was like, oh, dude, he's going to break out and get the gun. But she's, in this scene, after she incapacitates Caitlyn, we see her fighting with her inner demons on the inside. Silco screaming at her to do it, to end this once and for all. Vi screaming at her to stop. And we just see, just on the inside, that she's fighting it. She doesn't know who to believe, who to trust, who to listen to. And honestly, can you really blame her? Like, her whole life, she's had people, like, abandon her and lie to her and all that. And it's true that Vi has never really done that, but she's scarred. Like, she's emotionally damaged from what's happened. And it's just a very tense situation. She can't take it. And Silco actually does break out of his restraints, grabs the gun, presumably to shoot Vi to end this once and for all. And Jinx just goes crazy and starts shooting everywhere. And unfortunately, she ends up hitting Silco. And I gotta say, guys, like, this is not how I wanted him to go out. I was actually a little upset when I saw this scene. So I was saying to myself, like, no, not like this. Don't take him out like this. But yeah, she hits him. And he's dying in her arms. She's breaking down. Just like, no, don't leave me. You can't die. And then it's revealed that he was never going to give her up at all. That to him, she's his daughter. And if you really think about it, like, as messed up of a guy as he is, all the heinous shit he's done, like, that's the most truthful thing I think he's ever said. Like, he genuinely, completely cares about her. Like, he does. Like, regardless of everything else, he loved her. She was his daughter, flat out. Like, Violet was Vander's, Jinx was his. And his last dying breath to her was, don't cry, Jinx. You're perfect how you are. And we see in that scene that that was the final straw that broke the camel's back. Powder died. This was the moment in the episode where Powder truly died and Jinx was born. Silco did get what he wanted at the very end. And that one in the previous episode where he told her that she has to let her go. It was in this scene that she finally did, and she decides to be Jinx. And she does something crazy. She takes the crystal that they made. She made this new weapon apparently, which is a big looking shark bazooka. Looked really freaking cool, by the way. And she aims it at Piltover. More specifically, she aims it at the council room. And she fires. And our episode literally ends with the ammunition going through the glass. And we don't even see what happens. You want to talk about like a blue balled kind of cliffhanger ending, guys. Like, what the hell was that? I was yelling at the screen like, don't end like that. Come on now. But they did. And that's just something we have to accept. And man, this episode was crazy. So much happened. Like, not really so many like different things happening, but we got a lot of conclusion to a lot of things we've talked about previously. And I don't know if it was a good ending to a season. Like, to me, watching this, it felt like there was like one more episode left in the season, you know? It felt like this wasn't the ending, but for now it is, and we gotta deal with that. I've heard season 2 is already greenlit, so hopefully we won't have to wait too long, but yeah, for now this is it, and this episode was a hell of a ride, to say the least. It was in that moment that Powder finally died and became Jinx, and she's gonna be the villain of the series, I think, from now on. Like, who's left? Who is it? Who is the villain? It's Jinx. Like, our whole story was us seeing this innocent girl that just wanted to be accepted and become her family. And because of all the times she's been betrayed and hurt, she became the villain. That's why the episode's literally called The Monster You Created. And I think it's incredibly fitting, because I don't know where we're going to go from here. Like, I can only assume war. Like, is the council going to live from this? I find that hard to believe. I think the only person that's going to live from that is Jace. Maybe Victor. Maybe Victor might live because of his enhancements now. Maybe that'll keep him alive. But, like, who... I gotta say, Mel's probably gonna die. Because they certainly made a big... Because in that scene... I love how they did it, actually, in this episode. How they were flipping back and forth between the council and Jinx and Violet and all them. I loved how they did it. They made a big deal of her taking off her ring before agreeing with Jace. And I can only imagine that she's gonna die from this. Jace is gonna take her ring... and he's going to go to war with the Undercity. I can only imagine that. And that's just... the repercussions of that are going to be awful. Like, what is going to happen with our series? With our characters? Like, is Jace going to go off the deep end now? I can only imagine he's going to. And it's just... it's crazy, guys. I'm just... this episode, I will say, I hated the cliffhanger, but it did a great job of, like, making you want to know what happens next. And speaking of things I want to know how you guys felt about this episode. How you felt about the season as a whole, honestly. In the comments, because I've stated this previously. I went into this series not even knowing if I would like it. Like, I went in fully expecting, like... thinking to myself, like, oh, I don't know League of Legends or anything like that. I don't know if I'll like this series. I don't know if I need to play the game beforehand. I might get lost watching it. But no, guys, this series is great. I fully understand why so many people love it. I love it now, personally. It's fantastic. The characters and just the story itself are fantastic. So please, let me know how you felt about it in the comments. I would love to discuss this with you guys. Because I don't know, man. I don't know where we're going from here. The future is very uncertain for our characters, and honestly for the world. So yeah, let me know, guys. If you like this video, like, leave a like on it, guys. It really does help a lot. People can say all the time, oh, it doesn't help. It helps, guys. It makes me know that you guys like what I'm doing. You know, and that definitely helps me out. And then subscribe if you want to see more videos, guys. Like, I'm gonna keep doing this no matter what. And seeing the support from you guys warms my heart more than I don't know if I can even express. So thank you to everyone who tunes in. It means the world to me so much. We may be done with Arcane Season 1, but we're going to keep going strong as a community and as a family. Alright? I love you guys. I'll talk to you guys soon. We'll have another video. I gotta find a new series. Also, let me know in the comments if there's anything specific you guys want to watch, you know? Because I would definitely do that. I absolutely will take any consideration. Anything you guys recommend, I will take into consideration. No matter what it is. But yeah, until next time, guys, have a great day, month, or even a year. Yes, I just referenced Friends. The Friends opening. Don't judge me. But yeah, guys, until next time, deuces, and have a great day.